We have Pete here on the line with us, and I want to introduce you to Pete Vargas. Pete Vargas and I first met through a mutual friend a while ago, and I was immediately impressed by who he is and what he's doing. I had the opportunity to go sailing with him and his son, and again, just not only impressed with him as a business person, but also as a real-life person, somebody who has integrity and adds super valuable content. Pete is often referred to as the stage whisperer because he has connected over 30,000 speakers with stages, not indirectly, but actually directly. So, Pete, we're so glad to have you today and to have you share your knowledge of how you were able to connect with stages and how people can connect with stages for our speakers group today. So, Pete, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So is there anything you want to add to your list of credentials, maybe something I missed?
Yeah, I've been married for 14 years, going on 15 this summer, and 3 beautiful kids, 9, 7, and 4 years old. So it's the big reason why I do what I do is definitely for my family. And people always ask me the question, Allison, why are you so passionate about stages? And the reason I'm so passionate about stages is twofold. Number one, my life was deeply impacted by a speaker 13 years ago, and as a result of that speaker coming to my community, it prompted my dad to ask for forgiveness for the abusive father that he had been as I grew up. And I solicited that speaker's cell phone number and said, Daryl, you got to get your message out to everybody across the world. And that's what prompted my journey down this stage side of things. But since being a parent, as you are, Allison, I know you're a parent as well, and I got to meet your daughter. My 3 kids are adopted, and we are growing up in an extremely negative world. My third kiddo, which she was born at 1 pound 3 ounces and born at 23 weeks, her twin sister passed away, and we were told if we take her out of the foster system, most likely she would never walk, she would never talk, she would never run, she would never do anything normal. And it was like all of this negativity that was thrown upon us, like this is never going to happen. And honestly, my kids are growing up, and your kids are growing up right now in a society that is just, there's a lot of negativity out there. And I've quickly realized that when we can get influencers that have a message to share with the world and get them on stages, that the impact that they can make through those positive messages is incredible, and it's life-changing, it's life-transformational, whether it's an online stage or an offline stage, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting those messages out to the world, because I'm quite frankly sick and tired of all of the negativity in this world, and we need people like the coalition of speakers here, and like people who have powerful messages to really get their message on stages. And so that's why I'm dedicated to stages. It's because my life was changed by a speaker, and I believe that if my kids are going to grow up in a society that we need powerful messengers to go out there and make a difference in our world. I don't want to keep hearing all the negativity. So that's a little bit more of some more on me as well, why I care about this.
Yeah. No, I love that. You know, it's interesting. I just spoke on my favorite stage that I've ever spoken on, well, at least this year. And that was in my son's 8th grade class this morning. And so I love that. And then a couple weeks ago, actually, I was able to help out with the teen camp at GKIC. And, you know, I love that you bring the kids into there. And there is a lot of negativity. And I love speaking to and working with young people, because you feel like you can really influence and impact their lives, and they're just trying to decide what to do in the direction they're going. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you said about the stages. And I think it's true. For those of you listening on the call, I feel really passionate that each of us has a unique opportunity, and a lot of the speakers that I've heard, they're able to impact and influence so many people. And I think it's every speaker's desire to be able to do that. But of course, there's one piece that we need. We need a platform to be able to get that message out. And my biggest frustration a couple of years ago, before I got my TV show and started speaking on all these stages and really started have my radio show and started getting these platforms was that I felt like I had this amazing message, this service that could really change people's lives, but I just didn't know how to tell them about it. It felt like I was struggling so hard and trying so hard to get these different stages and platforms just so I could share something that I knew if only people heard about could be life-changing. So Pete, one of the reasons why I'm having you on this call tomorrow or today, and one of the things that I want you to share with everybody in this coalition is how they can get more stages, how they can get more platforms, what they can do so they can really get their message out to the world and reach more people. So I would love if you could share your secrets for success, for super success, on how to be a super successful speaker and get more stages. So what's a tip or a piece of advice that you could give everybody listening right now?
Yeah, so this is something, so there's a couple of things I want to share. Number one, you have to be great on stages. And I know that if you didn't hear yesterday's call, I know that was talked about a lot. You need to be great on stages, because one of the biggest mistakes one of the things that rubs me is I'm going to show you how to get on stages by the time we're done with this call today, like literally go get on stages. But meeting planners' biggest pressure or biggest thing that they face is making sure that they're hiring people who are great. And when they aren't great, it reflects on them. So make sure you're great. If you don't have the training to be great, or you're like, I'm almost there, make sure you're great. You want to stand out, because if you stand out, once you get one stage, it's a domino effect. Like it literally is. I'm on some of the biggest stages this year because I made sure that I was great before I went out and started landing all these stages. The other thing, and that might confuse some of you, you might say, Pete, I thought you booked 30,000 stages. I've booked 30,000 stages for my clients. As of a year ago, I had never spoke in my life. I'd never spoke. I was like the wizard behind the curtain.
I didn't know that about you. That's interesting. So you after booking all these speakers, you thought, why in the heck am I not in this? And you decided you should do it, right?
Well, I went and did it because I figured out after spending 10,000 plus hours, they say you become a professional once you've spent 10,000 hours doing things. And I thought, what have I spent 10,000 hours doing in my life? And it was like sleeping. I didn't quite get there with tennis. I was pretty close to 10,000 hours. But the only other thing that I feel like I've spent 10,000 hours doing is on the phone with meeting planners. Literally, in my life, that's the only other thing that I've done is spent 10,000 hours on the phone with meeting planners. And so one of the things that's interesting is I know how to help people get their message out. And I thought, you know what? It's time for me to go speak about that. It's time for me to share that message with helping other people know how to do what I've been behind the scenes on the phone and on email and on video doing for the last 13 years. So yeah, Allison, that is something that's true. I had never done it up until that. So.
I love that. I love that you decided to do that. So sorry, I think I interrupted you in the middle of your thought.
No,
you're good.
Go. So be great. That's the if you can picture this progression of be great. That's the first progression. I call it story. The second progression is what I call stage, and how do you land stages? We'll come back to that here in just a second. And then the third progression is what we call scale. And I want people to go deeper with you past that stage, because that's where you change their life. Scale is the products and services that you offer those people when you're on the stage. And a lot of you might say, Pete, that works in the public seminar world or the speak to sell world, but that doesn't work in the kind of keynote world. Absolutely it does. You just have to know how to do it correctly. You make sure when you're on every keynote stage that you're on that you are lead capturing and tying that lead capture into a problem that they're facing in their business. And then the 21 days following that is when we would close thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even some cases millions of dollars for our clients, because we would capture 80 to 90% of the room. And our speakers were the ones getting paid to speak. And so what's important to me is that you're great on stage, story. You scale past the stage with your products and services, and that starts by capturing those leads. But what I really want to talk about today is how do you get stages? Like, how do you actually get stages? That's what I'd love to spend a little bit of time on. And so I'm I don't want to overwhelm anybody today. I don't know if there's anything specific around that framework, Allison, that I talked about that you might have a question on before I dive kind of into the stage piece.
Yeah, I do. So I love that story, stage, and scale. I want to clarify something with scale real quick here. So you say, lead capture, problem, and then you have your 21-day close. I would love to know, what have you seen, or what do you think has been the best way to do a lead capture at an event?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you asked that. So I'm going to give this group is a powerhouse group. Like, if I could pull up my computer right now, you would see that 2 years ago we landed the biggest conference in education in the U.S. And it's called if you think about, Allison, I'm actually going to put a quiz to you here. If you think about K through 12 schools, your kids are in K through 12 schools.
Right. Just got done speaking at a K through 12 school, 8th grade.
Who do you think is the most powerful, influential person who controls the budgets for K through 12 schools in all of the districts? In the districts. I'm talking about people who work within the district. Who do you think has the biggest control of the financial budgets on a day-to-day basis?
Oh boy, probably the teachers.
It's not. It's the superintendents. It's the superintendents. Okay. So the superintendents control the budgets for all of our schools' districts. So if you can get in front of the superintendents and you have a program to offer K through 12, you then have the person who makes the decision about buying anything. It's the same thing about, like, if you are selling something to sales reps, you want to get in front of the director of sales and go to conferences where director of sales exists, because the director of sales control the budgets that could bring your programs back into their company. And so what Allison just asked, it's a twofold thing. So what I want everybody to do, the way that everybody who works closely with us captures 80 to 90% of the room every single time, and sometimes 100% of the room before they ever get there on site. So how do you do that? And I'm going to show you. It's two parts. You have to design a giveaway that's something digital that doesn't cost you to be able to give to them, that solves a major problem for them.
And so something digital that doesn't cost, that solves a major problem. I'm just clarifying. So write that down. Digital, no cost, solves the problem. Got it.
It doesn't cost you anything, it doesn't cost Allison anything, but on Allison's website, it actually says this is a $47 product of mine. I love 27, I love 47. And here's the reality. When you put it up on your website, it'll actually sell. You'll be shocked. And you want to get 1 or 2 sales so you can actually say this thing is sold. We actually have a $47 digital product. And so let me help you understand when you actually give that away in your presentation. So we have a 10-step campaign that teaches people how to get on stages systematically. Systematically, this is how you can land a stage every single day. And the problem is, when I teach, I can't teach all 10 of those things. I don't have enough time, but I can teach 1 or 2 of those things. So watch this. I have a $47 training on how to implement this 10-step campaign. It's a PDF file with some video trainings that I've done. It's really, really easy. It actually sold last week on our website. It sells every single week. And when I go in front of people, what I do is, while I'm teaching that section, I tell them the 2 pieces of the steps I'm going to address today. And then I tell them that I'm going to give them a $47, a gift, complete free gift to them. That's $47 normally, but I want to give it to them free of charge while I'm teaching that piece. So it needs to be in congruency when you're teaching that piece, because that is when they want the deepest desire to say, oh, I know these 2. And by the way, what you teach needs to be great. And so what you teach needs to be great, because then there is an incomplete feeling. Like, if I taught all 10 of those, it would take me 2 hours to teach them. So I'm not being incomplete on purpose. I just can't teach all 10 of those because I don't have 2 hours just to teach that piece. So when I'm teaching, I would say, all right, here's the step 1 and step 2 of the process. This is how you do it. And I show them how to do it. I don't hold anything back. And then on the screen I say, I have a complete training for you that I want to give you all of the details of all 10 steps completely free. You have a contact card on your chairs right now. I want you to fill that out because this is normally a $47 this is a $47 product on our website, but I want to give it to every single one of you for free because I want you to win stages. Okay, so that's stages. Now let's go to scale. And I naturally transition into, no, and I'm actually doing what I'm doing. I naturally transition into the next teaching point. And so you want to congruently give away that problem that they're facing while you're teaching it, and then you do it at the very end as well. Remind them at the end of the free gift that you're giving away, and you will see 80 to 90% of the people give you those contact cards back. That gives you more intel than any text opt-in could ever do for you, We've had big name speakers, even in the coalition here, that have seen us do this firsthand at major conferences, and they're blown away because they see 80 to 90% of the people turn in a physical card. And Allison, I don't know, you might have a follow-up question to that. I'll kind of pause there.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about the power of getting people to actually take action with that. What are your tips and secrets with that?
So here's the thing. I'm a big believer in what I call contact cards. And and people are always like thinking text opt-ins are good, and they're good, but I'm just telling you, on the contact card, this is what you put. I want you to know what you put. You ask for their name, their number, their email, their position, like their title, because that's going to tell you if they have budgets after the fact. You ask for, you might ask for the city, state, address. That's optional. And then on the bottom, you ask one question. And whatever the question is of how they can go deeper with you is the question that you ask. In my case, I asked the question, are you interested in us helping you build out your stage strategy? Yes, no, maybe. Putting maybe is critical. It's critical because 95% of the people who turn in the cards are going to say yes or maybe. You will get very few no's. And then right below that, you put a note section for them to add any additional comments, which is going to show you the lowest hanging fruit that you have in those contact cards. So that side of the card is your beneficial thing. That's them giving to you. The other side of the card is an infographic, and Allison does this really good. She got one whipped up really quick on this call today, is an infographic of the free gift that you're giving away, plus the value of that gift, because then on one side they're like, oh, they're giving. On the other side, you're taking, and people now subconsciously say, I'm not just giving my information for information's sake so they can have me in their database. I'm giving it because they're giving me this gift away, and that's why people give you that contact card back in play. I would take 80% contact cards over 80% text opt-ins all day long because of the intel that you get on that contact card from them. As a result of those contact cards, that's what leads you into the 21 days of follow-up to close a lot of them into your business, into what you do. So that's the tips I would tell you. And here's the one additional tip that I would give this group, because this group is much more advanced than maybe a lot of people out there, is when we spoke at the National Superintendent's Conference, I just shared that with Allison a couple of minutes ago, we were ready to do everything I just trained you to do. And their whole thing was, how do you create better culture within your schools and end teen suicides and end teen shootings and all of that. And so their gift was like a free gift of how you implement a great culture in your school. I mean, it fed on their problems in schools, so that might not be relevant to y'all on the call, but for superintendents, they want great culture in their schools. That's what they want. And so we did that same thing with them. But if you will do this one thing, once you've landed the stage, and we'll get into landing stages here in a minute, once you've landed the stage, if you will call that meeting planner a couple of months prior to ever going to their event. And this is the conversation that I had with Christopher Daw at AASA, and you can look that up online, aasa.org. I said, Christopher, I'm excited. And by the way, we were not the keynote. We were a featured session at this conference. So what does that mean? That means that people get to choose and decide whether they're going to come to your session or another session. So this is the phone call that I make every time that we've already have a stage confirmed. Hey, Christopher, it's Pete. We're so excited to be there. Oh, yeah, we're excited to have you too, Pete. Like, excited to have your group here. Hey, listen, we have a gift that we usually sell. We have a thing that we sell on our website that really helps people understand, superintendents understand how to go create a culture, an incredible culture within their schools without having to slave over time. And it's a gift. We want to give that to every single one of your attendees, and we want to give them one of the books. I know most people make you pay for books. We want to give all 2,000 of your superintendents attending that this cultural, we had a name for the cultural thing, and we want to give them all a book. We know most people will charge you for those books, and I know you don't have $20,000, $10 times 2,000 to be able to do that. And so we want to support you and give those away to every single one of your attendees. Here's Christopher's response. Are you serious? Yeah, dead serious, dead serious. So not only do we want to give you the book that normally sells for $12, so in his mind, he's multiplying his 2,000 attendees by $12. Now, remember, we're going to give him a digital book. We're not giving him a physical book because we don't want this to cost you anything. Then he's taking the cultural gift and multiplying $50, because I'm showing him on the website where that's a $50 deal. He's multiplying $50 times 2,000 people, which is $100K, and Christopher has just positioned that conversation as $120,000 worth of free gifts that we're giving his attendees. And I will show Allison this list because I know a lot of you are going to say this is too good to be true. Christopher emailed me 2 days later the entire list of every single attendee coming to his conference. Every single attendee.
That is brilliant. So, I mean, and lists are so valuable because now you have this huge increased database. So very, very intriguing. I'm taking notes as you're writing this down now. I want to kind of bring it back a little bit because everything you're saying is so phenomenal, and kind of in the back of my mind, you know, I know where I was a year ago, and even some of the things you're saying now, I'm thinking, wow, this sounds really great for somebody who's a really, established or has been doing this for a long time. But really, I mean, is it that simple to do? Is it that easy? What would you say to somebody who they've worked really hard, they're a phenomenal speaker, they're just wanting to get on some stages? Where do they even start with all of this?
So I will go exactly to that, and I'll tell everybody the things that they need to do, and Will tell them the one thing that I did to help them understand that we won the White House. Like, the biggest stage that I've ever won was the White House, and I will give everybody the script on how to do that so they can go win some stages. But let me just finish that quick thought because I want people to see this full circle. So these people didn't choose us to be the keynote. They chose us to be a featured session. We gave away a few free gifts. They gave us the entire attendee list. And prior to ever showing up to the conference, the week prior to our actual day, we sent them the digital book for free saying, hey, we're excited to meet you. We're going to be there next week. We're on this day, this time, this room. Here's the free book that we are giving to every single person coming out. So now they got that email. Then the day prior to our session, we got them the workbook for them to print out when they come into our session so they can have things to take notes on. And then 1 hour prior, we reminded them where our session was. There were 5 featured sessions, 3 or 5 featured sessions at that time. We had the majority of the people in our room because of that sequence that we were able to do ahead of time. So
that's so interesting because I think that a lot of the times we think we're at the finish line before we're actually at the finish line. Just getting that stage, you think, okay, well, I've done it. I'm at the finish line. I've accomplished my goal. But you have to remember you aren't actually across the finish line until really 21 days after the event, right?
Allison, that's so brilliant, and that's so true. And here's what I want you to know. Allison just spoke a ton of wisdom there. It's not just about the stage. It's about the whole process. What do you do prior? What do you do day of? And what do you do after? You need to have that checklist in your business, because here's what I want you to know. Had Christopher said, no, you can't have the list of people, he would have then said, but people who attend your session, you can give that gift away for free. Cool. So then we wouldn't have been able to do all of that work, but we would have went and retargeted the AASA Facebook page to retargeted everybody on there to letting them know about our session that day, because we do have control over that. So you might say, how much do you get the list ahead of time? It's only about 30 to 40% of the time that actual association meeting planners will give you the list if they feel your gift solves a problem and is of value. But when they tell you no, you now basically got their permission to be able to give that a gift away in your session, like I talked to you about 10 minutes ago. So let's say they said no. Now your job is in your session to go ahead and try to collect the majority of people in your session. And so that's what you do during your session. And then, like Allison said, that's just the starting point. We want them to go deeper with you in whatever it is you have to offer after the fact. Even if that's just more speaking, the most critical time is those next 21 days. And so, Allison, there's a lot of brilliance in that. And so I appreciate you saying that. What I would say to people wanting to really get on more stages, I'm gonna give you a high-level overview, and then I'm going to hone in on one area. Number one is you have to understand what the meeting planner thinks. Please, 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 please understand what the meeting planner thinks. I alluded to the fact that I've spent over 10,000 hours on the phone with meeting planners. I know what they think. I know they have budget constraints. So if you're a $10,000 keynote, be willing to come down to $7,000, but ask them for the list of all the attendees in return. Yes, I did that multiple times too. I would go from $10,000 to $5,000 for one of our clients multiple times because I would get the entire list of attendees in return for that $5,000 compromise. That is something always going on in their minds. I'm going to tell you 2 or 3 things that are always going on in their minds. The other thing always going on in their mind is this person going to be great? Is this person going to be great? Because my constituents, my colleagues, and my peers are going to judge me for who I bring in. Yes, that is what they've told me that. And if I miss it, I hate it. And so we just had a client at a conference, and he was one of the hits. At this conference, we have a meeting planner that we know really well in California. He brings in 3 big speakers every year. He knocked it out of the park with 2 out of the 3, but one of them was not a great success. So guess what? His peers are like, okay, he did pretty good. But meeting planners love to go 3 for 3 or 4 for 4. They love to be great whenever they make those selections. And so you have to think like the meeting planner thinks. And this isn't a plug, Allison. I mean, I'll give you the link after the fact. But on Friday, I actually, for 4 hours, have 15 of the largest meeting planners in the country that I'm interviewing. It's called the Mind of the Meeting Planner Summit, and I would love for any of the coalition to be on there. And it's all different niches. It's health and wellness, it's CEOs, it's entrepreneurs, it's youth, it's faith-based. But you have to know what the meeting planner thinks. And so I really know that. That's the first thing to winning a stage, because if you don't know how they think, you don't know how to get on their stage. I'll pause there. Any questions about that? Because I'm going to go in kind of order of what they need to do, Allison, to win stages. So any questions about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. It goes back to as a speaker, and this is something we heard yesterday. Really, your audience is the star, but when you're going to get on stages, you really have to make those event organizers, those meeting planners, the star. It's not about what you need or what you want. It's about what they need and what they want. And just like you said, if you can really understand what they're trying to accomplish at their events, then you'll be able to tailor your presentation to set them up for success and to set yourself up for success. So I love how you brought that up.
once again, a ton of wisdom there. Here's what most people don't understand. You have two customers when you're going into an event. You have the person who controls the stage, and that's what I call the meeting planner. It's the CEO, it's the founder, it's the president-elect, it's the director of professional development, it's the educational director. In the public seminar space, it's David Fagan, it's Allison, it's Pete Vargas, it's Brendan Bouchard, it's Angelique Ruhr. So you have these people who control the stage. That's what I call a meeting planner. That is the first buy-in that you have to get. Don't think about the consumer who's sitting in the audience. That's the second customer that you have, but you can't get to the second customer if you can't get to the first customer. And so the first customer has to understand that you think like them, you understand what they want, you understand what they need. It's not about you, and when you can win that customer, you're setting yourself up for a lot of success. And so that's the first thing. Now, the second thing that you have to do, and this is one of the biggest issues that people face, is that they don't have the positioning elements that set them apart as a speaker. I'm not talking about your branding around your company or your branding around your collaterals. I'm talking about the positioning elements that you need as a speaker. You need a great speaker page. You need a great speaker video. You need a why me video to meeting planners that's less than 2 minutes, that when they see that, they're like, holy cow, I have to have this person. You need a speaker deck, like a 3 or 4 page deck that has your topics, that has those people who refer you, that has stages that you've been on, and you might say, I don't have all of that stuff. Well, you put the stuff that you do have. And you need to position yourself greatly as a speaker. We have a checklist of about 17 things that we know that we want you to have, but if you can get 3 or 4 of them implemented, you don't need all 17 out of the gates. I had 3 of them a year ago. 3 of them, and those 3 allowed me to get on 2 or 3 stages. And then when I got on those 2 or 3 stages, now all of a sudden I had 5 of those positioning things, and then I had 7. Today I have like 12 to 13 of them. I still don't have them all, but I'm on really big stages. I'm at Infusionsoft's Icon stage on one of their main stages next week. I would have never thought that a year ago, but you have to position yourself. And by the way, why I started by understanding the mind of the meeting planner is because now you have to position yourself like the meeting planner thinks. Not like you think, like they think. They want to be heroic. They want to get incredible reviews about you. And so that's why those positioning elements are really, really critical. That's the second piece. Al, any questions on that, on the positioning side of things?
I think that's great, and I would just reiterate that. I mean, I have speakers in my coalition, and we have different levels or different kind of categories that you can be in. And so there's a general directory, but in order to make it up to the elite or the elite keynote directory, you have to have some, like a really good EPK. You have to have those speaker reels. You have to have that website. You have to have those things. And the reason why is because you will not be able to get a stage without those. I mean, I think speakers oftentimes overlook the importance of even a website, and your website can act as that speaker kit if you do it right. So, if I'm looking at speakers that I'm going to promote, if I'm an event organizer and I'm trying to decide what speakers come and speak to my event, the first thing that I go and look at is their website. The second thing I look at is their speaker kit. And if their speaker kit's on their website, that's even better. But it's those ones that have that really impressive and professionally done materials, even if the credentials aren't as good. I mean, I've been to people's websites before. Their websites were crap, and they had great credentials, but I could not see past the way that it was put together. I've had people that have had less credentials, but they have a really nice website or they have a really nice speaker kit, and I can see past those because I know that they put the time into it. And to me, that just speaks volumes. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, it's key. And a lot of people might say, so a lot of the common things. I'm going to give you one that 99% of speakers don't have, that if you have this. So Allison's right. I went into my friend's house the other day, and it's going to be a beautiful house, and my wife can see the end in mind. She's like, oh, this is going to be amazing when it's done. But, like, for me, I struggle because I'm like, all I see is, like, drywall and a bunch of nails on the floor and all of that stuff. And that's okay when you're building a house, but it's not okay when you're building a speaking business. You have to have a good look and feel. and I've seen a lot of speakers' websites, and they suck. And if you can't have a good look and feel on your website, like Allison said, it's hard to look past that. Even if you have an incredible speaker kit and an incredible video, a lot of times they won't get to that because you don't have a good appeal. Tools like Lead Pages, tools like ClickFunnels, we can build you a website in an hour nowadays that can look more sexy than most people's speaker pages look right now. But one of the things that speakers rarely have, and if you can get your hands on this, it's powerful, is your reviews from a former conference where your reviews were great. Not if they were average or a below average or just a little bit above average. Like our biggest clients that we work with, we have that. And once we're in conversation with the meeting planners, part of the campaign that we do to win them over is to say, look what they got, look at their ratings at the conference that they were just at last month and what the people said about them and how they had perfect scores across the board. And now the flight or fight mode, kind of like, oh, is this person good, just ease down because they see a peer of theirs who just rated you really highly. So make sure you do a good job of positioning yourself. That's the second thing that I would encourage you to do. Then it comes down to the third thing. And the third thing is research. And this is the thing where I think most people drop the ball. You don't have a standard practice of researching the right stages. Pete, what's the right stage? The right stage is where you have your ideal buyers sitting in the audience. Now watch this. Allison, and I'm going to pick on Allison here because I'm glad that she said teachers. She thinks teachers control the budgets. And that is the furthest thing from the truth, and I learned that the hard way because I also thought like that, like Allison. And so I would get our speakers in front of teacher conferences, and then in the 3 weeks or 4 weeks following, we wouldn't see any sales. And then I quickly realized they don't control the budget nor the calendar. Principals and superintendents do. A lot of people think parents do. They don't. I learned that the hard way. So an ideal stage for you is when your customer who controls the budgets, the calendar, or whatever it is sitting in the audience. That's an ideal stage. Well, Pete, I just want to do a bunch of keynote talks. Cool. Who are the people who hire keynote talks in your industry? That's who you want to be speaking in front of because you don't want that stage to be a dead-end stage. You want it to be 8 more speaking gigs that you get out of it, 10 more coaching packages, 10 more service-based clients that you have, or whatever it is that you have to offer after the back end. So a big mistake that speakers don't do is they don't understand their ideal stage. And you got to get really specific. No, I don't want to be in front of entrepreneurs. I want to be in front of speakers, nonprofits, financial planners, service-based companies. Like, yes, that's the type of entrepreneur that Pete wants to be in front of. So those are the stages that Pete puts himself in. So understand your ideal avatar stage, and it's based on who your consumer is and them being able to make the decision to work with you. And then once you know that, I want to challenge everybody on here. Research 1 time a week for 1 hour. And if you're like, man, I can't spend 4 hours in research, okay, then spend 1 hour a month in research.
You know, what's interesting about that, this quote comes to mind, Abraham Lincoln's, someone asked him, if you had 8 hours to chop down a cherry tree, what would you do? I'm probably not saying this quite correctly. He said, well, I spend the first 7 hours sharpening the axe or something like that. And that really is preparation, does go a long way. If you're prepared and have done your research and are able to speak on the right stage, like you said, that can kind of roll into something that has that snowball effect. So I love how you said that.
Allison, the reason, and that once again, thank you for saying that because I love that quote, because the other piece of that is, what if I told you I have a campaign that will win you 5 to 10% of the stages in the next 12 months, and for those 90% that say no to you or don't respond, what if I told you out of those 90% next year, that percentage goes up next year? You would be like, wow, count me in. Well, it doesn't matter if we don't do the preparation work. If you're not researching and doing the preparation work to make sure you're on the right stages, then who cares if I have the campaign or the golden key? You didn't do your preparation. And so Allison's so right on this. Make sure you do your preparation. So how do you research? You research by determining what your ideal stage is, and then you go to freaking Google. You go, I'll give Allison a few tools. We have 13 places that you can go research, all day long. You can find 100 stages a month very easily, and you could do that for the rest of your life. That is your ideal stage. You could find it. So just so you know, there's 23,000 national associations. There are 100,000 state associations, and there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of local associations. And so you could go research all day long, and that's not even the public seminar space. So I want you to go find 100 stages a month. Like, I want to keep this really simple, 100 stages a month. And I want you to find, that means 25 a week. Like, my EA found me 25 last week. She's going to find me another 25 this week and another 25. I mean, that's what I want you to find. And then, then that's what you need. That's how you need to do it. And so here's the 2 ways you research. I'll give you a quick thing. Number 1, you ask champions in your life for stages that you think you should be on. And here's how the script goes. Hey, Allison, I know you heard me speak last week. Thank you for having me speak on your stage. I have not spoke. I've just started to speak in the last year, and I'm really passionate about it because I know I can help people get on more stages, and I'm so grateful that you have a strong belief in what I'm doing. I'm curious, are there any podcasts, masterminds, or physical stages that you think I need to be speaking on? And if you will do that to your champions will email you back and say, yeah, I actually think here's a few that I think would be really good for you. That's where you start your research, because that's warm research. Then you move to the cold research, and you can quickly turn the cold into warm, but that's where you start with your research, is what I call your champions. And then and only then do you move to cold research. And by the way, cold research, we will show you how to turn that into warm research really, really quickly. But you've now positioned, you now understand the mind of the meeting planner. You've now positioned yourself with your positioning elements. You've now begun to do research faithfully every single week or every single month. Now it's time to win the stages. And that is the campaign that we talk about, which we've been using for 13 years, and we make tweaks and we make adjustments, and we tweak this thing all the time, but it's basically, for the most part, been the same mediums. We've added one medium, but it's been the same mediums, and if you will go put this campaign to work, you will see 5 to 10 of those stages that you did research on become stages that you're on. I researched Entrepreneur on Fire 6 months ago. I was on Entrepreneur on Fire last week. I researched Angelique Ruher's stage 10 months ago. I was on Angelique Ruher's stage a couple of weeks ago, and it counted for over $170,000 in sales. So like Allison said, if you don't do the preparation work, you're never going to be able to win these stages. And so here's how the campaign operates. It's multiple mediums, because different mediums speak to different people. And so I'm going to talk about the mediums, but I'm going to hone in on one today. And once again, just like I do in a live setting, I will give you the step-by-step training to all of this if you want it. I'll give you the actually I'm giving it away on David's webinar on Thursday. I'll give you the step-by-step training to all of this. But here's how the campaign works. You need to incorporate the phone. Yes, don't worry. I'm going to show you how to do the phone really, really easy. You need to incorporate video email, not video. Video is back into the positioning elements. I'm talking about video email. You need to incorporate text-based email. You need to incorporate direct mail plus gifts. There are 2 gifts that get delivered during this campaign. One of them after they have their first phone call with you. Actually, there's 3 gifts, excuse me. One right out of the get-go, one after they have their first phone call with you, and one after they've told you no when their event just happened. So I'll go through that. But gifts are the 4th thing, direct mail and gifts. Meeting planners tell me that's one of the least emptiest mailboxes that they have, is their direct mail nowadays. And then the 5th medium is social media. It's social media. And so what we have done is we've orchestrated as close to a sequential sequence with those 5 mediums that go over the course of 3 weeks and then 3 months, and then we nurture them if we don't hear a yes or no after the 3 months. And so we hit it hard for 3 weeks. It continues to build for about another 2.5 months, and then after that we drop them into a monthly nurture sequence. And so those 5 mediums are coming at them all different ways, and they're like, wow, I see Allison on social media. Wow, I got a speaker box from Allison. Allison sent me a video. Man, I got a phone call. So there's all of these different mediums in the right timing, because you can't bombard them all in a week because they'll just say no. But in the right timing and in the right sequence, those are the 5 mediums that we use to win stages. And we, for ourselves and for the clients that work closely with us that implement this whole thing into their business, consistently will land 10% of the stages that they research in year 1. And so I want to hone in on one area of those 5 areas to kind of conclude today. I want to hone in on one.
Before you do
but
that,
I want to let you ask a question. So, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned something, and that was this, that you're going to be talking more about these on a webinar this Thursday. Is that correct?
Yeah, David Fagan has asked me to really dive into this more in detail on Thursday, and I'll be giving away like 2 or 3 gifts on that webinar. Like the gifts that I give away in live settings, I'm going to give away on David's webinar, including how you can hire a booking assistant that costs you nothing. So I'll give away a few free gifts on David's webinar on Thursday.
Okay, so what I'm going to do for everybody that's on this call and listening, I will go ahead and get that information, and I'll post that on the Facebook page, and then I'm also going to send it in the follow-up email too. So I know you've given us so I'm just taking pages of notes here. This is amazing information. So I know that everybody's going to want to be on that webinar as well. So just so you know, it is accessible to you, and I will make sure that you have that information. So thank you, Pete, for letting me pause there, because I know that was the question on everybody's mind. So go ahead, and dive deep into one of these. I got my pen and my paper here ready. I'm writing it all down.
Yeah, I want to dive deep into one of them. And so you could use this. So video email is very powerful. And why is it powerful? Because A, it connects with the meeting planner deeper because they're so used to phone calls and regular emails. And B,
explain that video email though. Explain that really quick, because I'm having trouble moving on until I understand what that is.
So if everybody will go to a tool called bombomb.com/reach, BOMB.com/reach, REACH. I actually shot a video on why I use this tool. John Lee Dumas said he had never heard of the tool until I was on Entrepreneur on Fire. And actually the tool, the BombBomb, the owners of it are good friends of mine. I've been in a men's group with them, and like with a kind of a Bible study with them, and they're blowing up because it is a tool that allows you from your cell phone or your computer to be able to record a video and send a video email within a matter of seconds or minutes, however long the video is. It's awesome. I can see when you open it, I can see when you watch it, and I can see any link that you go and click on my website, because it kind of comes as though it's coming from my website. It's an awesome thing. But I use BombBomb faithfully. If you don't, and they give you like a 2 or 3 week trial to go play around with it. If you don't want to use BombBomb, just record a video on your phone and upload it and send it in the body of an email with a screenshot. So you would screenshot a piece of that video, and behind that screenshot would be the link to YouTube or Vimeo or whatever you have if you don't want to use a tool like BombBomb. So that's what I mean by video email. BombBomb has just made video email a lot easier, Allison. So does that help kind of from a fundamental standpoint?
Yes, thank you so much. Sometimes I have trouble moving past if I can't imagine or know like what exactly is a video email. So thank you for clarifying that.
And the progression you want to make is you want to move from a video email to a video text. But the only way you get a text is once you've built relationship with the meeting planner. And so Mark Gutman, who is runs EO Colorado, which is entrepreneurs that are doing over $1 million in their business, He said he had never gotten a video email from any of the speakers that he's hired, and he hires 8 to 12 speakers every single year. So I want you to understand how powerful this is. He said, Pete, not only did I feel connected with you, him or somebody else also said I felt like it was your audition. Now hear that. This is kind of a little bit of a mini audition because they might not have ever heard you speak, and if they can feel your presence in this video, now you don't have to worry about them coming and hearing you speak before they hire you. So I hope all of you speakers got that because this is huge. So here's what I want to go deep on. I want to go deep on whether you want to use video email or you want to use phone. That's your call, but I'm going to give you the script of how you would reach out to meeting planners that you have researched and how you get that foot in the door. It's a really kind of a 5-part script. I used to say 4-part, but it's a 5-part script because I just realized there's something that I do in it that, and by the way, I have 750 of these recorded in my system. And when we build out our campaign for people, like we build this campaign out in 2 days, tomorrow in Phoenix, we'll build this out for 16 business owners over the course of 2 days. And I show them how to do this script by showing them live bombs of me or live phone calls of me talking with meeting planners. I'm going to show all of you that today, like one of the things of how to do that. So what you need to do is say, do I want to do phone? Do I want to do video? But here's what I want you to do with some people that you go research. This is what I want you to do. So I will take you back to 2006, and if you want to Google this, you can actually see my transcription with President Bush. This is not a political thing, but what I did is I was doing my weekly research. And I want you to see how I practice what I preach. And I realized that they were having a major Safe School Symposium in the White House in October of 2006. It was like May of 2006, and I'm like, awesome. So I went to the symposium website. I gathered the person who's responsible for private invitations. I gathered their name, their email, their phone number. I gathered the dates of the symposium, and I did my research like I just told you to do your research. It just so happened that we had our positioning pieces all put together, so I didn't have to do that because I already knew what the meeting planner thought. I already knew I had my positioning elements. So what did I do? I picked up the phone, uninvited, and I called this gentleman. And here's what I said. And I can't remember his name, but let's just say it's Aaron for the sake of, whatever. Hey, Aaron, it's Pete Vargas. Hey, man, I'm so excited to connect with you. Foster Freeze told me that I should – Foster Freeze is a big believer in what we do and said I should reach out to you. And he's like, who's Foster Freeze? Oh, actually, well, he knew who Foster Freeze was because Foster Freeze was one of the biggest contributors to the Bush campaign. And so that's the first thing I did. And now, actually, I'm going to take this back, and I'm going to do it as though I'm shooting a video, but I actually made a phone call. So I want to be transparent with everybody here. So I'm going to tell you, because I think most of you are going to lean towards video because phone call makes a lot of people nervous. I just want to be full transparency that I did this script on phone, but I'm going to show you how I would have done it on video. Hey, Aaron, it's Pete Vargas. I hope you're doing well. I know you don't know me, but Foster Freeze is a big supporter of what we do, and I actually reached out to him about the Safe School Symposium that you're having there in D.C. in October. Dude, I just want to say, and I would say dude because that's my language, dude, I just want to say thank you for putting this on. There are way too many school shootings, way too many suicides, and way too many bad things happening in our schools, and I am so glad that y'all are taking action to put this symposium on and bring together the biggest leaders across the world to figure out what the solution to this problem is. So I just commend you for doing what you're doing. I know you don't know me, but I'm the National Director for Rachel's Challenge. Rachel was the first girl killed at Columbine back in 1999, and over the last few years, we are helping end suicides and end school shootings in schools and helping bring a positive climate and culture to school systems. I know you have the symposium coming up in October, and I would love for Rachel's dad to be a part of that. I believe he would be a major asset to the symposium, but I also would we would love to let our entire database and network know about what's going on and the great things that you're doing. And we've been in thousands of schools, so we can help bring major exposure to you as well. So can you and I hop on the phone for 5 minutes? Below is a link for you to schedule a call with me. I don't think they had links back then, but now they do. So I'd love to hop on the phone with you for 5 minutes. That is the video script. I did 5 things in that script, and I actually did that over the phone, and I did the same 5 things over the phone. First, if I could find any type of connection to him, I did, which in this case was Foster Freeze. Second, the biggest mistake that people make, I have videos. I will have speakers shoot me over videos and say, people aren't responding to my BombBomb video, because 90% of them, and this is meeting planners tell me it makes them sick to their stomachs, so please hear this, 90% come out of the gates talking about themselves and how great they are. It's the biggest mistake you can make. They don't give a crap about you yet. Mark my words, yet. So don't come out talking about you. You heard that I talked about him. And he knew that I had researched him because I gave him details of his summit, the things he was doing, the date it was taking place, the reason they put it on. He knew I had done my preparation. I had already sharpened my axe, and I knew about him. So that's the second thing that you do. The third thing that you do is now you don't talk about yourself. You talk about how you can be an answer or a solution for one of the problems that they're addressing at their event. You make sure that you can be a solution that's not in competition with something they're already doing, or a solution for one of the problems that they're addressing at one of their events. And you tell a little bit. Remember, I only told a little bit of the story that gave social proof that we were already doing that in schools. And I talked about how we were preventing suicides and school shootings, and that we could really come in there and help them understand and talk about culture in schools. That's the third thing that you do, is you talk about how you can help solve a problem at their event and why you care about solving that problem. That's kind of the story. The fourth thing that you do is you create a win-win. A win-win. My win-win was I want to be there. I want Daryl there to be a part of it. But I also want to give you exposure to our whole database as well and help our database of schools know what you're doing at the White House. That's a positive thing. Now, in his eyes, it might not be huge, but it's still a positive thing for them. That's the win-win that you can give. And if you need help with your win-win, I can help you. Just create a win-win solution. And then the fifth thing I did was give a call to action. Now, in the live call, I didn't give a call to action because I just picked up the call phone and used that script, went through it. A week later, we got a personal invitation to the White House, and you can see me online asking the President of the United States a question about culture in schools. It says Pete Vargas, and you can see that I'm asking a question, and he honors that man, and he honors that man who I got invited, and President Bush allowed that man's son who was at Columbine to speak on the stage as well. All genesis from that 5-part script that I just taught you, and that's only one freaking piece of the 10-step campaign. And now, Allison, I do want to give kind of sidebar. Now you can understand why people want my free gift whenever I teach this in a crowd, because all I'm teaching y'all today is one piece of that campaign. That's one piece. They don't always say yes like he said yes. I have to send him the follow-up email that's part of the campaign, and I have to have that second call that's part of the campaign. But that is how you get it started, and that's how you begin to win stages right there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Pete. And I've gotten so much content on this call today. I have a lot of notes here. I know everybody else is feeling the same way. So the question in everybody's mind is, what now? How do we get more of you? You've got this webinar coming up with David Fagan on Thursday, but I want to tell everybody about an event that you have coming up next month in Colorado. It's an event that I will be attending personally along with John Halpin, who's a partner in the coalition as well. And this event is actually a live event on how to help people find more stages, where I'm sure you'll be going more into this. And we all know, listening to something like this is great. Writing down notes, great. Maybe we'll take a few things and implement them. But when you go to an event, that's when you can actually start changing your life and having real-life practices and experiences. So I know you offered everybody in the coalition a special discount to attend that event. We've only got a couple minutes, but man, I'd love for you just to tell everybody a little bit more about this event and what they're going to get out of it. I mean, and the deal you've offered is phenomenal. But go ahead.
No, I can do that really quick. So the event is May 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's our 4th event. I was encouraged by my mentor, Brendan Bouchard, about a year and a half ago, and one of my mentors, Mel Abraham, a year and a half ago, that Pete, what you're teaching people about stages, there's nobody out there teaching. And so they said, you need to go throw an event. And I didn't have a list. I didn't have anybody. I didn't know anyone. I just said, okay. So 3 months later, I threw my first event, and I had 40 people in the room. I think half of them were my family, and the other half were probably free, so 10 people probably paid to be in that room. That's kind of my little joke, but, I counted my son and my daughter, and I counted everybody. A couple months later, I'm shocked to see that we have close to 100 people. Then we do our 3rd event. We have close to 160, where Aaron Young was part of that one. And then this event, we're pushing close to 300. And the reason why is because you're going to come and not only get content similar to the content that was just delivered over the last 30 minutes, you're going to get 3 days of that. Day 1 is completely focused on you honing in your signature story and really your signature talk and being great. Like the people speaking on day 1, myself, Pat Quinn, Chris Smith, unbelievable people helping you really hone in on signature talk. Day 2 is all about stages. So I dive into the 70 different stages that you can be on, and I dive into every one of the 10 steps to win those stages, and we focus all day of day 2 on stages. And then here's the beautiful thing. Day 2, at the end of day 2 and beginning of day 3, we talk about scaling beyond the stage. How do you lead capture? What does that 21-day follow-up campaign look like? How do you make sure you have a program to even be able to sell after the fact? Because there's one of the 8 things that you can do to scale past the stage, and digital products and physical products are only one of those 8. There are 8 ways that you can scale past the stage, so we make sure and help you hone in on that program and then how to make sure people go deeper. So that's what we do in the 2nd day is really, or in the day 2 and end of day 2, day 3 is how do you scale past the stage. It's an amazing event, and here's the cool thing. We have 20-plus meeting planners, 20-plus meeting planners from eWomen's Network and Women's Network and EO and YPOs and in every market, youth, even Mindshare Summit. Mindshare is one of the biggest health and wellness stages that exist out there, JJ Virgin stage. We have people from youth, education, religion, public seminar, personal growth, women's empowerment, men's empowerment, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and the list goes on and on. 20 different meeting planners. They're live, and last time many of them gave away their stages because we do a VIP speak-off from our stage. 12 finalists compete on our stage in front of every single person. We only have about 5 or 6 VIP slots left. We've had 35 people upgrade to be a part of the speak-off. So 40 of them compete pre-conference. Allison, I'd love for you to judge that pre-conference if you can be a part of it.
That.
And then, well, it might be tough because you might be biased, but that's okay. And then the 12 finalists advance to night 1 in front of the entire audience and get to share their story on stage. And these meeting planners not only judge, but they're encouraged to actually give their stages away if they see somebody that resonates. So it's an amazing 3 days. Our prices right now are $297. On Monday, they go up to $497. Actually, this Monday they do go up. We're really big on price integrity, so they raise on Monday. But I would love to, if you will write this down, you can go to advanceyourreach.com/live, advanceyourreach.com/live, and you will see all about the event. And what I want to do for you, for the group between now and Monday, is here is a code, and it's all caps, WCSC 100, West Coast Speakers Coalition, WCSC, all caps, 100. If you use that in the promo code area, it'll save you $100 off of your ticket. It'll knock it down to $197. And, you know, on Monday, prices will be $497. So you're essentially saving $300 off of ticket prices, you know, come Monday. So we'll keep that code up until Monday night, midnight Pacific Standard Time. But I know you and John are going to be here, and I'd love to have many of you here at it as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And one other question for you, too. Tell me one more time so I can write this down here. Who else is going to be there? There's going to be people from eWomen's Network. From where else?
The meeting planners that are going to be there, Traffic and Conversions meeting planner will be there. Social Media Marketing World. These are both conferences of 4,000 or 5,000. Social Media Marketing World. Infusionsoft, Pam Gibbons from Infusionsoft. She's seen over 3,000 speakers. She will be here live and in person judging. eWomen's Network, Women's Network, Julie from Shine Events, EO, Kata from the educational market, Ideas Unlimited from the educational market, Castle, CASL, like if you're trying to get in with youth, it's one of the greatest youth stages in America. I know it because we've had speakers on there. And then a couple of Amplify Live, Keith Yackey's event, Powerful Living Experience, David Bayer, who Entrepreneur says is a must-attend event. And then there's a few, the Real Talk Summit that Gary Vee just spoke at. So there's probably another, I'm missing about 7 or 8 more, but there will be close to 20 meeting planners there. And by the way, I'm interviewing all of those meeting planners this Friday as well. I'm interviewing all of them this Friday on a Mind of the Meeting Planner Summit. So yeah, a great group of people that are going to be here.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Pete. Everybody join Pete Thursday for that webinar. I will post that. Make sure and go to advanceyourreach.com/live. Enter the code WCSD100 for $100 off the ticket. Only $197 gets you a 3-day event. You're going to learn how to get more stages, and you're going to get in front of all those people who are actually putting people on stages. So, Pete, thank you so much for being here today. This recording will be available shortly, and we'll see you next month.
Sounds great, Allison. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Pete.